Have you wondered how to really use these clear rulers? What's all the little lines for? All the little squares? I'm going to show you coming up. Hey, it's Chanel here, bringing you weekly videos to help you get better and better with your fashion sewing and be more creative too. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on a new video. What's with these strange looking rulers? They're called clear rulers, and you find them a lot in the quilting department. I think quilters might call them quilters rulers, but I had a ruler. They're usually about 18 inches long. Here's a one here. I had this ruler back in design school, well, I'm not gonna tell you. It was in the 80s, and it's plastic. And I actually had a student probably about 5 years ago sitting there playing with it like this, and it cracked. Because plastic actually doesn't last forever. It cracks. And I was like, oh, I was kind of bummed because it was my, designer. It's from my design school. So I was a little bummed. But anyway, so now it's shorter. What are you going to do? The clear rulers we used in design school, altering patterns, because, let me see, I'll show you. There are all these little squares. They're into 1/8 of an inch squares, and then there's little 1/16 little marks right in between the 1/8 square. And in pattern grading, which is like making a pattern bigger or smaller, different, going into different sizes, we'd actually sometimes, like shoulder seams, have to mark it out as 1/16 of an inch, and these really helped. So I used them a lot just in pattern drafting, and I know quilters use them because they work with a lot of squares and all, and they really make things a lot easier to mark, and that's what I'm going to show you actually how to use them. But this is our, I know I was working with these a lot, and I was like, as I got older, I couldn't see the numbers as well. I don't know if you can see the numbers on there, but I was like, I wish, I could see these numbers a little better, and there was some way to figure this out. Then they improved them. They made them blue, which I think is easier to see, and then they've got bigger numbers on the edges. So at least part of it was just much easier to see, especially you're just kind of like, I need 10 inches here, and then you mark it here instead of like, where's the 10, like that. So they made an improvement on them, and I have a lot of these rulers in my sewing school, and I had a lot of these, and I think this is my last one of that. Every now and again I buy a new ruler, and I always buy these ones, and they might still have the other ones out there, but they also have this ruler, which is a smaller version. I think they're 12 inches and 1 inch wide, so those are actually really nice to handle too. So these are around too. They make things easier. But I want to show you just a few little techniques on how to use this ruler, and it'll really help with your marking of fabric and altering patterns. All right, well, these rulers, actually I'll put this white under here, are broken up. It's 2 inches wide, and then they are broken up into, let me give me some more light on here, right there. That will help. 2 inches wide, and then all these squares are 1/8, so you got two of the squares are quarter, and then 3/8, a half, which is 4/8, 5/8, 3/4, 7/8, and an inch, and then so on and so on. This larger part here is 1/2 an inch. So how this works is, if say I've got the selvage of this fabric here, I mean, if you're marking on anything, let me put this under here so you can see. Let's say we want to do 1 inch. I'd put the raw edge of the fabric, or whatever it is, on that one right here, make my mark here, and then I have from here to here is 1 inch. I do see a lot of people just kind of go like that, and then this slips around, and then they might have it like crazy like that. But and that's, you want to do 1/2 an inch. That's why this part is really easy. And then in commercial production patterns, a lot of their seam allowances are all 1/2 an inch. when they're manufacturing, but like our patterns we buy in the fabric stores are 5/8. So you'd actually have to move it out to the extra eighth right here, which is then 5/8 right there. So a half is really easy to do. You mark a half, and then 5/8 you move in here. Actually, let me zoom this in a little bit more for you. So you can see 5/8, your raw edge is right on that 1/8 of an inch square that's past that half. If you don't have that one, then you're just going to be, you put it on, you got your 1/2 inch bolded here, and then you just have another 1/8 right here. So you just kind of have to know where the lines are. You're going to obviously know some fractions too. So if you need a 2-inch mark, the whole thing is 2 inches. So that's actually easy. I know when we do a lot of elastic casings, they're 2 inches. So from the raw edge to there, and you can also turn it and use it in little sections here. Let's say you got to do 1.5. So then you have 1 here, and then the half here, and you mark your mark right there, and it's 1.5. So that is how you use it on fabric. And on a pattern right here, you're going to do, let's see, bring this back up. You can see, like on a pattern, let's say you had this skirt pattern right here, and you needed to bring it out 1/4 of an inch past this line right here. If you can see this right here, bring it up like that. You would actually just put the 1/4 inch line right here on the cutting line there, and then you have an easy 1/4 of an inch, and you just move it down the way right there, so you can actually move out a whole 1/4 of an inch. If you needed it 1 inch in from there, you'd actually just know it. You would know it's on that line right there. Let's say you needed it 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to put it on the 3/4 inch line right here, and then make a mark here. So just looking at this right here on the 3/4 line here, and then marking right here, and you can see right through it, and you just mark it that way. So then you have your 3/4 line here. So being able to see through it, that's why they call it a clear ruler. That's where you can actually see, like let's say you want to do 1/2 an inch. I'm looking at the cutting line here, and then I put it on the 1/2 inch right here if I wanted to cut it there, and then out from out here, you got a 1/2 an inch right there. The easier way is to actually, you have this clearer part here. If it's a 1/2 an inch, it's always good. And also just measuring things. Let's say you wanted to measure this whole pattern right here. You have it all straight across, and then you're at, this was 13 5/8 right here, so you can see it real clear. You just use it as a regular ruler. Lengthening and shortening patterns here. Let's say you want to do 1.5 inches. You just put it on the half right here, so then you got 1.5 at the end of it here, and you make your mark here, and then you're able to then shorten your pattern here by folding it on that line, and then folding it here, the whole straight line. You got it 1.5. I actually have a whole sew bit on lengthening or shortening patterns on there. Dart lines right here. If you want to look on, let's say you want to move these darts in an 1/8 of an inch right here, and blend it to the circle right there. You actually put it on an 1/8 right there, and then you make your mark right there, and then you bring it over this way, and you put on the 1/8 right there, blend it to here, and you make your mark. So you can see, when you can see through the ruler, things are much easier. So that is how you use a clear ruler. So that's how clear rulers make your sewing life much easier. You can see through it, and all those little lines really help, all the little squares. Anyway, so do some practicing with it. Just kind of get used to running it up and down the raw edges of fabric, and making lines out, and get a little used to it, and pretty soon you can't live without it. Anyway, if you have any comments or questions, please let me know. Leave a comment below and I'll reply. And I'll see you in the next sew bit.